Good afternoon. Did you have any problems trying to log in? So, how's everybody? I'm just waiting for everybody else to jump in. First, I want to
Okay,
thank.
how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy day, man. It's been crazy, but this is probably the most important part of the day when we're talking about West Tampa. So I'm waiting for some more folks to come in, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Question: did anybody have a problem with logging in?
Honestly, I couldn't figure out how to do it, and then eventually I figured it out. It took me about 5 minutes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Next time I'm going to use a different format, maybe StreamYard or something like that. How about anybody else? Did y'all have any problem with logging in?
Hi, Mr. Randolph.
How are
No
you
problems on
today?
my side.
No problems?
Hope everyone is doing well. Yes, sir. No problems on this side.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting such a thoughtful space. Really
Thank you. Appreciate you. How about you? Did you have any problem with logging in?
No, I was able to get in. I had registered previously, so I didn't understand that I had to register again. So I figured it out.
Okay, no problem. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit more time, and I'm going to go ahead and get started if they're not here in 10 minutes. Now, if my understanding is that we do have two candidates here, is that correct?
I'm not a candidate for District 5, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay, well, we have one candidate from District 5.
I am.
Well, it's going to be your show then, right? But I do want to give everybody an opportunity. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I just want to say it was a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Bruce. Pleasure to connect.
Yeah, it's
Nice
Randolph. Everybody get my last name wrong, so it's Randolph though, but no problem. So when we do get started, I'm going to get started at 4:40. The candidate. I want you to start out by saying what is it that you like about Tampa. And the reason why, because we got people from around the nation that's watching. A lot of people don't even know who is and what Tampa is. So you're going to be the representative to give your input on that. I'm going to give folks about 2 more minutes. That's going to be 4:40, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Unfortunately, some of them might have had an issue with signing in as well. But anyway, we got a candidate here, so we're gonna go with that. Give it 1 more minute. I'm gonna hit record, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Feels like an exclusive podcast.
Well, sometimes it works best because this is going to go nationally. So who are they going to see? The candidate that showed up. Not to say that the rest of the candidates are not trying to get in. They might be having problems also, but technology can be that way. Okay. Let me see if I can hit record. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Recording in progress.
Okay, folks. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's taking part in the night's presentation. We're coming live from Tampa, and I know the rest of the nation is not familiar with us, but we have at least one candidate that's going to start about who she is and what is it that you love about Tampa.
You know, I moved to Tampa about 13 years ago, and I was one of those people. I didn't really know anything about Tampa, but actually, God was the one who told my family and I to move down here. We came to be part of a church, and we both had successful careers. My husband was working on Wall Street, and I was working at the UN. And God said to quit those jobs and come down to Tampa. So we didn't know why, but we knew that it was a special place. We knew that God had his hand on this place. And as it turned out, we fell in love with the place. We fell in love with the people. The people were so welcoming. The landscape itself, Tampa's beautiful. And you know, we didn't know what we were getting into, but we knew it was good. And that's been our experience for the past 13 years. Even with our ups and downs, you know, finding jobs, losing jobs, whatever, the reality has been that it's really been a good place for our family to grow and a good place for our family to come back together, to knit together. Because in New York, you know, that's where we had moved from, and you just didn't see each other. You were always busy in the commute. So being in a place where, at least it used to be, where 15 minutes you could get anywhere. Nowadays with traffic, I don't think we still have that same flexibility of transit, but hopefully we can get back there.
So tell me, if people are going to come to Tampa, what would be one of the top places you would recommend to eat?
Well, I have a couple, but I think the first thing I would say is I would have people go on the Riverwalk,
Okay.
just to get a real good view of what Tampa is, what it has to offer, and the just the cosmopolitan aspect of Tampa. It's an incredible amenity that we have here in the city. In terms of places to eat, gosh, there's so many. One that I had mentioned a few weeks ago in a different interview was Lucky Tiger. It's over here in West Tampa. They just changed locations. I'm very excited for them. And you know, we've got some incredible places all throughout Tampa, but especially in District 5. You know, whether we're talking about the Columbia, which is such an icon for Tampa, or, you know, even some of the incredible soul food places that are mixed in and out of all of our neighborhoods. You know, it's getting even more and more diverse in terms of the types of food available, you know, all the way up in around the university area, and you can find some really incredible places, you know, that feature, I don't know, Middle Eastern specialties and Asian specialties, and then, you know, some of the more Tampa-centric places, like I was mentioning with the Columbia. So
excellent. A lot of places, a lot of food. So let me ask you a question before we go to the questions. What makes you the best candidate for District 5?
I think in terms of District 5, it's such a diverse area. But one of the issues, I'll tell you why I decided to run. I had a conversation a couple of months ago with the former councilwoman. God bless her and her family and her untimely departure. But from that conversation, it really struck me that I wanted to make sure that West Tampa was represented on city council. I've lived in West Tampa. I've worked in West Tampa for the past 7 years. I've lived here, 10 years that I've worked here. And some of the issues that we were dealing with, especially after the hurricanes, just weren't being reflected, I thought, to the extent that I really wanted them to be. It was almost like we were cordoned off from even getting, right after the hurricanes, from even getting down to Kennedy. You know, we were quarantined in a way. And I'm like, that wouldn't happen in other parts of South Tampa. But here's the thing. I know that with my background, I come from, like I said, the UN, but also I've been working in state politics through the Florida House for the last 4 or 5 years. And on top of that, I've also been advocating for West Tampa within my city and state connections. So I felt like, you know what, those skill sets, those and this opportunity presented itself at the right time, that it's time to go. It's time for West Tampa. Remember that mural
All right.
at South Scenes Park, right? It's time for West
Yep.
Tampa. So, and it's no disrespect to the rest of District 5, because there's some incredible places,
Yep.
and incredible cultural icons, throughout District 5. But I really wanted to see West Tampa put on the map and have its share of voice at the table.
So we have one more person that's coming in, and as people come in, we'll definitely, let them come in. Okay, so we have another person that just popped in. Let me ask you a quick question, because the nation is watching. Tell the nation about Tampa and what's good about Tampa.
Muted.
Okay, we can't hear you.
And that's directed to me?
Yes.
To me, Allison?
Yes, it's directed towards you. Notice this is a
Okay.
national platform, and a lot of people don't know what Tampa is. So tell people, convince people why they should come to Tampa. What's good about Tampa?
Well, as a third generation Tampa, my roots are here, and it has provided me with an incredible life, incredible opportunities. So my daddy was the first Black dentist in Tampa. My mom was an academic advisor. I grew up with a private school education and then public school. And the public school was just as hard and demanding as private school. And so when I was going through, it was a incredible importance in education. And as we are still growing, and now that I am an adult in business, I'd like to say Tampa has all the amenities of a big city, but it's really just a small town. Everybody knows each other. Everyone has the ability to have opportunities to grow your business, to run for office, to start a way to monetize your passions. Entrepreneurs here, I think, are embraced. And there are folks who would like to partner with you. So yes, I think one of the big things here is you can monetize your passion here, because you'll be able to find someone, something, someplace to be able to help leverage what you have, what you know, to be able to jumpstart a business, to be able to jumpstart a dream. Even if it's jumpstart a mission for a nonprofit, you will be able to find, and it's not that difficult. You have to put in the work, but and then you have the option. I don't do this well. So right here, I'm going to just go ahead and say this is going to be completely not true for me, but the ability to also have a balanced life. There are amenities, there are places to eat, there are places to go walking and see, manatees. There's the beach, there are lakes. So it is such a diverse, if you want indoor, there are museums. I mean, there is so much. There you could literally have at least 3 items every weekend if you wanted to have something different to do.
The both of you have sold Tampa so well. We might be getting a lot of people here. But before we go to the questions, and let me pose a question to you. What is the best restaurant? If people wanted to come to Tampa, what would be your best option in terms of restaurants?
Well, y'all know my favorite, because I'm a wingaholic and I love wings. And so there's 2 I have. One's a franchise and the other is a locally owned soul food. So that's Mr. B's if you have a locally owned soul food. I mean, the oxtails are amazing. The smothered turkey wings are phenomenal. Phenomenal. But then my next one is in, because I'm a wingaholic, is Yard House, because they have the best lemon pepper wings in the world. Because have sometimes wings, you have to have that little mixture between greasy and not greasy. Well, they are not greasy at all, but so flavorful. So those are I have 2.
Excellent.
It's Mr. B's for my soul food, and for my wings cravings, I have to go with Yard House.
Okay, just before we get started, for your information, for people that are watching around the nation, Florida has the highest number of African American businesses in the United States. You might not know that, but Florida has the greatest number of African American businesses in the United States. So with that being said, let's go to the first question. So the question, and anybody can jump in and chime in. How would you leverage the Community Development Agency, the CRA, to combat gentrification, which is a problem throughout the nation, and expand economic opportunities to communities of color? Anybody can jump in.
I feel like we've talked about this a lot, Allison and I. So
Yes.
it's kind of fun. We can tag team on this.
Yes.
Because Allison, she's well versed in the CRA world,
Yes.
right?
I live and breathe CRAs for the last at least 8 years, like being in it. And before that with just the legislation. So I am very proud that I created what I believe is one of the greatest tools we have to mitigate gentrification. I say mitigate because the growth is happening so fast. And so there will always be a little bit of ability for us to be able to grow. We just not need to maintain the foundation of what created that community and that history is maintained. So I proposed in 2018, and I wrote the program. I defended it, presented it to City Council, a pre-development program.
Mm-hmm.
So people who own the dirt have ability to develop the dirt. So we are still maintaining ownership by the people who are from that community. I said it really came out to my mother gets an offer at least 3 or 4 times a week to buy her property. And a lot of seniors in the area did. And so then Councilman Goods and Councilman Dean Felder, we were talking throughout because both of them are really good friends. And they asked separately, well, how can we mitigate gentrification? And we've got to have the owners maintain their property. And so with the pre-development program, mirrored off the Florida Housing Finance pre-development program, that property owner was able to get architectural, design, engineering, legal, and what's most important, a developer consultant. Because if you're going to develop your property, you need to be able to know how to do a funding stack, to be able to do, if you need the CDBG funds for infrastructure because it's in the CDBG qualified area. If it's a brownfields, because we have some folks who have parked trucks or vans or things on their land, so that oil and grease and gas may have seeped in, we can potentially leverage those dollars. And so you need a developer consultant that as they're putting together this plan, the plan includes how to finance it, how to put together pro forma to be able to pay the debt service.
Okay.
And so with this program that has been passed, and they are putting the final touches with the city, people can maintain. People can, there's one lady who's going to put 21 units.
Okay.
And on the bottom floor, she's going to put a urban grocery store. Unfortunately, in East Tampa, we do not have the infrastructure.
Okay, you've given us a whole lot of information. Now, do you want to add on to that? And she's very versed in this particular subject matter in economic development in general. So do you have anything to add on to that?
I do. The other part of the puzzle, I think, is also ensuring that the dollars that are brought in by the CRA are also distributed to the homeowners, like what Allison's program would do, but also to the small business owners. And that's the story that I'm hearing from some of our local business owners, is that the grants that are supposed to be available through these CRA funds, they're not easy to get to. The regulations, the red tape, it's hard. And then I think the other problem that we've got rampant throughout most of city processes and programs is there's a lack of communication. People don't know that it's available. They don't know how to access it. So I think those are two thrusts that City Council could really, look toward, is ensuring that it's easier to get to the funds and that the communication is well placed within the community so people know what's available to them.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, folks, you can tell this is all about economic development. Second question. What strategies would you use to ensure opportunity zone investments benefit long-term residents and reduce displacement in communities of color?
Well, one of the things I have been talking about with City Council is each one of the CRAs. Now, understand in District 5, of the 8 CRAs, there are 7 that are in District 5. And that is a significant portion of District 5. And each one of those CRAs has a community redevelopment plan. And that's essentially the plan for development. Now, some of those plans fall within the opportunity zone, some of them do not. If there was a project that was qualified for opportunity zone, then I would make sure that it fell within what the community redevelopment plan said to do. And when you do that, then you have the CAC, Community Advisory Committee, who are at the table to discuss whatever that project is. So you bring the community into the conversation, even for approval, to see if they recommend it to the CRA. And so even before you're going to be able to go after the opportunity zone and the credits, it has already had input from the community. And that way you'll help mitigate any potential negative impact for the community. But that goes back to what Odette said just a minute ago, communication and transparency. You won't be able to do that if you don't give that CAC and that community the correct information, or all of the information, or most importantly, information in a way that they can understand. Because you can make these projects so technically convoluted, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we are doing plain speaking of A is then B and then C. So I think that if the opportunity zone fall within the CRA, so one, I would make sure it goes with the CRP. And 2, if it doesn't, I would make sure that as it comes before the city, it is then referred to the Economic Development Office, not just the Development Office, not just we're going to go get permitting, apply for the land use. If it's opportunity zones, it needs to also connect with the Economic Development Office so that all areas are communicating.
I see both of you ladies came with your ace game. Now, ma'am, would you like to add on anything to that?
I would, thank you. So part of the issue that I'm going to keep harping on, I guess, is the communication. So there is a lack of understanding among our small businesses of what's available and how to access it, right? There's always that gap, that information gap. And so I see that as a value add that the city can offer, but not just, putting out through social media or emails, because I don't know how many people read their emails if you get as many as I do daily. Right. But it's also, partnering with local small business accelerators, with, SBA offices. USF has, the Small Business Administration office there that, as well as the chambers. So it's utilizing all of the different resources that we have available to get the word out. Because if we don't, it's just the money's going to sit there and the city's going to repurpose it. That's just what happens, right? If it doesn't get spent somewhere, it's either, well, they don't spend it, so they must not want it, so let's put it away. Or, at least when I was in the state, you'd see a lot of it, the Sadowski Fund, right? It's constantly being raided. And I think that sort of nonsense happens. So, we've got to make sure that our people know what's available and how to access it. So
excellent.
Sorry to keep harping on the same thing.
No problem, please, because it's very important that you do that. Because it's your passion.
We're failing. Communication is, I think, our Achilles heel.
That's definitely.
100%.
Okay, let's go to the next question. How can a community benefit agreement be used to protect neighborhoods from gentrification while creating pathways to wealth and ownership for local residents?
When we're talking about the community benefit agreements, this would be, when we have, I just want to make sure, because I'm not in this role yet, so I want to make sure I'm understanding. But this would be, as an example, when we're seeing something like the Rays Stadium, if that ever were to come here, and creating that sort of community benefit agreement to ensure that the benefits actually do stay within the neighborhood. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, no.
Or is there a different?
Well, I'll let the other candidate respond to that, and then I'll respond to it after that. The question is
I
posed
agree,
to you.
Odette. I agree, Odette, that community benefit agreements. I have a bit of a concern with how this current city community benefit agreement is constituted, because right now it if a company of a development offers a affordable housing unit, they do not have to do a community benefit agreement, and because the mentality of the
Hold on for
administration
one
was
second.
that was the
One
benefit.
second. Would you repeat that again? Because I don't think a lot of people know what
They
you
do
just
not.
stated. So would you repeat that again?
And you, exactly. So if you look at the record, I was doing constant responses when they were putting out and they had the community. But right now, if, for example, there's a development of affordable housing of 200 and so units on Hillsborough and 22nd. And that did not require a community benefit agreement because it provided affordable housing. There was a clause in the current community benefit agreement to be executed with the city that says if you provide a affordable unit, you do not have to do a community benefit agreement. That's your community benefit. I fought against that, but the staff was a lot more. They had a lot more time. I had 3 minutes, and I had a lot more time to be able to say, well, that's the community benefit, but it's so much more.
So let me ask you a question. Did all of the council people voted on that? Was anybody saying no? So it was like everybody?
So, well, by the time it passed, Orlando Goose wasn't there, but he was fighting against it before the election. Because he brought it forward, and it was his idea after seeing what was happening in different cities. But that was not his intent when he proposed it when he was in that seat. And so that's where it went. And I believe that they were lobbied very heavily by the development community, and were able to get that. If they do affordable housing unit.
This is a reminder.
Okay, we just had Dave to jump in. Dave, is there anything you want to say?
This is a reminder.
David?
Fix my dentures. Just let me know if this is done.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, excellent. Thank you for those questions. Now, here's the next one, and this is a bonus question. Between the CRA, the Opportunity Zone, and the Community Benefit Agreement, how do they differ from each other, and which would you believe offers the greatest impact for low-income communities? I know it was a lot.
Sorry, one more time?
Okay.
Sorry, one more time?
I know it was a whole lot. Between the CRA, the Opportunity Zone, and the Community Benefit Agreement, how do they differ, and which one do you believe offers the greatest impact for low-income residents? I know that was a lot.
That was a lot. Hands down, it's got to be the CRAs for me, because they have, if the city would actually do their job and implement the programs that they have, the CRA are ongoing projects that can benefit the community. Opportunity zones are pretty much long-term, because that comes at the end of financing a project. So you've got to find a pod project, develop a project, make sure you have all the pieces for funding of the project before you can go to the opportunity zone. And the community benefit agreement, as I said, as currently written, if they provide affordable housing, that's the only benefit you're going to have. Where the CRA could invest in small businesses, they could, build a house, they can help a small local developer develop a commercial space. So hands down for me, it would be the CRA.
Okay. Response? Your preference?
Agreed. Definitely the CRAs, because they do meet on the regular. It is a live, active, forward-moving organism, really. It's an organization, but because it is constantly evolving, it has potential to have long-term impact and to not just be a static, like the zone. How often do those expand if it's happening just after the end of a financing period? And then with the community benefit agreements, obviously those can be manipulated, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, for every project, it would be different.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know. It wouldn't be a consistent what's happening.
So y'all should know that artificial intelligence is my best friend. This question goes to that. What ways would you use artificial intelligence to make city government more efficient, responsive, and equitable?
You know, it's funny. I read an article today about AI, and it has so many opportunities. But one of the things that it was talking about was that it's most beneficial for those of us in the Gen X generation, because it emphasizes our ability to sniff out if things are good or bad, whereas it's replacing the younger generation. So I think I would use it with caution, because I want to make sure that the young people who are coming up still have a chance to learn and to experience, you know, whether it's an internship or those first jobs, getting into government service. I mean, I know it's been powerful driver in many of our lives to experience what it is to start working, you know, at the lower levels in government and in community service. So I think I would use it with caution.
Okay.
You know, that's my.
Okay. Next response.
Absolutely. I agree. One of the reasons why I'm running is the ability to present opportunities for development and information to staff sometimes is stagnant. And I really am a stickler for structure. And so I would need to find out, one, what policies can be put in place that it's not manipulated in a way that would not be good for the community. I would also make sure that it did not supplement someone actually doing the research themselves, to make sure that we weren't just relying on what was coming from AI. And I would also require training to make sure that everyone is trained, because how I have noticed with the AI is it is learning me, and it is creating responses that until I read it, I didn't know I would have said it that way, but it sounds just like it. So we've got to make sure we are monitoring and training, you know, the people who use AI then we got to monitor that AI is consistent for that person. Because if it's different people going to go to this AI, how in the world will if it's the entirety of the government apparatus, maintain not a single mind or not doing cross purposes? Because as AI is learning my personality from my AI, from my computer, what is that going to do with the whole administration using it? What is going to come out of that? So,
and what happens when staff changes or administration changes, right? That's a really good point.
So this next question is very dear to me. OS Tampa has lost 50% of its population since 1990. What specific actions would you take to reverse the trend and restore cultural and economic viability? And I know I messed that word up, but anyway, anybody can jump in.
Actually, I'd actually like to hear a little bit from you about this, because you know, we're expecting about 10,000 more people to move in with the development of Rome Yards and the final phases of West River. You know, we've already seen the population of Old West Tampa double in the past 2 years as a result of that development. And it's set to expand even more. Now, I know that because of the affordable housing component and the connection with Tampa Housing Department or Authority, they brought in people who either used to be here or, you know, have some connection. And there was initially meant to be for those who were kicked out of North Boulevard homes, that once this new structure was created, they were supposed to have first rights
Mhm.
to come back, right? I don't know, because it took so long. I don't know how many people have actually taken them up on the offer, but I know that there are a number of African American families within West River, and I anticipate more
Mhm.
as more affordable housing is changing the neighborhood again, and we're seeing sort of an influx of the coming and going of different races.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm looking to you, and I'm like, well,
Mhm.
is that a good thing or a bad thing for your perspective?
Well, no, I'm not going to address that question. I'm going to let Allison
Okay.
address that, and
Okay.
then I'll jump in. Allison, what's your response?
Well, let me just say a little bit about what I'm doing over in East Tampa. I am 50s. Let's just leave it at that. And I have started reaching out to former classmates. We know as being third generation, some certain families that are here, and I've called and encouraged them to move back into their family home.
Mhm.
I've told them about the opportunities here. They have all, they're here local, but they're in the county. And I have taken upon myself to encourage folks to move back in, and especially because their mothers, aunts, uncles are still here. And there's a history in West Tampa that is so vibrant. I remember hearing stories. I mean, back in the day, if you talk to Joe Robinson, he'll be saying East Tampa, West Tampa. Thing was quite funny. But we need to look at our elders. We need to look at that history. We need to. I remember stories of people hanging out at Grace's, and just that was a place to be, to listen to jazz, to just for the African American community to just share what was happening in the world and things like that. And we need to reach out to the folks who did it. We need to make sure that they are following the overlay district. So they're still building with that culture and that feel and that vibrancy of those communities where you just walk from door to door with your casserole, go, because the block had a dinner, and they got together. We need to, not forget with all the bright, shiny development that we were a neighborhood. And we need to talk to the people who were in the neighborhood to see if they would come back. We need to show them that the opportunity for them to come back is there.
In the past, one of the major issues with gentrification is that it was done without thinking. There's a new school of thought now that's coming out, and it's called control gentrification. The idea is that if you build from the bottom up, then people are allowed to stay in the community. If you give them job skills necessary to increase their income, because a lot of people moved out because they was priced out, and there was no mechanism of social support to provide them with economic opportunity. So as the community goes up, their income goes up as well. I think somebody's answered the question. Allison, were you asking the question?
I was trying to fix my computer.
Okay. Well, if that being said, here's another thing that really saddened me. Violent crime among Generation Alpha is raising. What youth center strategies would you implement to address this crisis and promote healing and opportunities for the community?
So I live in West Tampa,
and by the way, Generation Alpha is 0 to 15.
So when we first moved to the neighborhood a couple of years ago, I guess 7 years ago, one of the intentional things we were doing was reaching out to the kids and having them over for dinner, and just on a very micro scale, finding ways to engage with that generation. The problem is that something happened, and this was also part of our church that we're in West Tampa, and but those same kids, just a few years later, they got involved trying to imitate older older young men in the neighborhood and trying to be a gang, and they ended up shooting at my pastor's house. You know, and so it got really real how important this younger generation is. My son, he just turned 19, and I asked him when he came back he was away last summer. So when he came back, I said, well, where are all the kids your age? Because I'm not seeing his age. And he's like, Mom, they're missing. There's a generation missing. So we've got to, and I already knew from the stats that we had a generational problem with young men not finishing school, not going on to college. And in fact, not even entering the workforce, you know, maybe the black market sort of workforce, but not the traditional workforce where they're going to actually have a future and a plan for their lives and to, you know, establish families and to create really, you know, not just generational wealth, but just an established community. What we really want, you know, is we're building neighborhoods here. So that's an issue that's near and dear to my heart. So one of the things that I've been working on through some of our community outreach in West Tampa, we have been inviting local businesses that have internship, apprenticeship programs that are looking for raw talent and they want to train up, especially in the trades. So that's a big part of my interest, is seeing that the trades get amplified, especially in our area, because it is such an area for quick development and growth. Some of the things that I was saying maybe 2 years ago, we had TICO out, as well as HCC, because TICO was offering scholarships for young men or women to go to HCC to get qualified to become linemen. And then that would mean that within a year, they would be making $70,000, you know, just out of school, and not even a 4-year degree, but I think it was maybe a 13, 14-month program. And those sort of opportunities, giving kids, giving young men and women this vision of what their future can be, that there are real jobs, real possibilities available to them. I think there's just a lack of purpose in that generation. And I think that's part of our job, but not even as government, just as community members, to reinvigorate that sense of purpose and destiny within them, because they don't have to be the lost generation. You know, and that's part of my heart, especially as a mom of boys, is to see that change here in our district.
Okay, Allison, before I throw that question to you, we're seeing kids 11, 10, 12 killing. It used to be a time we would open our mouth up and say, oh, wow. Now it's becoming the norm. That being said, Allison, how would you address Generation Alpha? They are the most violent generation to come up. Allison, how would you address that? Babies.
We need to make sure we provide opportunities. And Generation Alpha, we need to provide opportunities to those who take care of them. Because Generation Alpha is doing this because mostly they are communicating with the phone or the iPad or the computer. Exceptionally smart kids with technology, but kind of isolated, especially those who came out of COVID and were even more isolated than most. Mm-hmm. And so their interpersonal skills were stunted at the time when they should have been watered and developed. And so we've got to, be able to provide opportunities to their parents, so they can see actually what opportunity looks like, because a lot of those who are doing this are seeing parents who are just hustling and scrambling, and the phone or the iPad or the TV ends up babysitting. And so, and then as we are communicating with them, we need to help them understand, even at that young age, how to monetize their passions. And passions may come, passions may grow, but and they may evolve. But if you can start talking to them early about how to make sure that their dreams cannot just be dreams, you can monetize that. You can create that, give legs to those thoughts. And so, as take Audette's about the trades not only provide that job, trades also are benefiting our small businesses, but our small businesses that can then hire those apprentices and be able to show them what it's like. That if you have if you're laying tile or carpet.
Mm.
Right now, you get your DOE certification as that business for the apprenticeship program, or even a pre-apprenticeship, but that's the folks who are high school and below.
Mm.
You can teach them how to channel that creativity. Is it if it's painting, if it's doing drywall, if it's using your hands for carpentry or mechanics. We need to be able to show them that that is going to provide really well for your family, but not only just provide them because we're going to go to a class and get you a trade. We're going to put you in an apprenticeship program with someone who looks like you, who came from where you came from, and now look at what they're doing.
Mm.
And while they're doing that, we're going to have some small business development training too, how to do QuickBooks, how to make sure the importance of having a banking relationships. But we've got to start young, because their manufacturing is coming here. But what about the folks who are doing the manufacturing for the solar panels and maintenance of solar panels and green energy? A lot of that generation, that's really important to them because they know what it's going to be like. They know, and they talk amongst themselves about resilience. And so then there's another group that I'm talking to, and they build and train on zones. I mean, drones. Can you imagine rather than just playing the video games? And I don't know if I'm doing it right because I've never played this. I'm the Atari. Sorry, old school. But to use that training for drones to get them, because there's a waiting list for people to get hired for being able to be able to. I don't know if you say drive. Excuse me, I'm not that millennial. I'm Gen X here. But the opportunities are boundless. Again, why we love Tampa, because those opportunities are here and now, not in the future, not maybe. These opportunities are here now.
So the next question is also dear to my heart. How would you strengthen the role of neighborhood associations? Did I lose my thought? Hold on. Oh, neighborhood association and resident groups in shaping decisions that affect their community. Do y'all need me to pose that question again? Because I messed it up. So did everybody understand the question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Anybody can jump in.
I have served on FAN as secretary for the last year and a half, and then a member before that. And that's all the neighborhood associations in the city of Tampa. And I can tell you, the diversity of the issues, but the consistency of the concern is amazing. And what I have seen in the neighborhoods that are most successful is that they have the folks on their association who are clearly connected to the city. They know how to monitor the agenda, look at the budget, know when when on land use there are going to be developments that happen in those neighborhood associations. And we need to empower the neighborhood association. I know this administration has done a really motivated job to get neighborhoods created, to create neighborhood associations. But once you're created, then what? It's not like there's a neighborhood association manual to be able to do this. And so I would make sure that we empower the neighborhoods office to provide that training, to provide access to those resources that can bring in and do neighborhood works and those things to be able to come here. I would host, we I don't know who did it, and it was a while back. They had a neighborhood conference.
Allison, she's frozen up.
CEPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. But to have a conference for neighborhoods to be able to come in and see what other neighborhoods have done that might be similar to who they are, to help build their neighborhood up.
Now, this question is also dear to my heart. Actually, all the questions are dear to my heart.
But I didn't get to answer, Michael.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I didn't get the answer. I talked too long.
You're fine. I think it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Look, I lost thought.
Sorry.
So please respond to that. And thank you for considering the candidate. That goes to show it's a friendly show. No fighting. Everybody's trying to help each other. Because you know what Obama say? This is a silly season. During the political, everybody get to go after each other throat. But you two ladies are shown style, and grace. That being said, please address the question.
Thank you. Well, I think, that's actually, on a side note, that's been something that has been throughout this campaign. It's just the civility amongst the candidates
Yeah.
has been extraordinary, and just the willingness to work
Nasty,
together.
nasty, nasty.
So
Mhm.
maybe because there's 14 of us, I don't know.
I think it was. I think it could be 3 people. It's like Obama said. It becomes a silly season. Neighbors go against neighbors, and then after the election, it seems everybody forgot it and they go back to being normal again. But anyway,
Well, we've had a really pleasant interaction all around, so I'm grateful for that. But I would go back to speaking about what Allison was mentioning is still there's a communication gap, a constant communication gap with not only is there lack of information, but there's a lot of misinformation that gets spread in these community groups and outside of them. So I feel like even if we had some sort of central, even though websites can often be static and useless to an extent, but a hub where we could share the information, keep calendars consistent, and know what is even available. Because I think maybe if you, like me, you might move into a new part of the neighborhood and you're like, okay, but who's working here? What's what's available here? And it's just not clear. It's not like you get we don't have the neighborhoods we used to have where people would come over with the casseroles, so we don't have the neighborhood watch coming over and knocking on your door, because it's everybody's a little afraid what might happen when the other side of that door opens. So
Okay, folks, we're coming down to the last questions. This one is interesting. With nonprofits facing deep funding cuts, how would you support their survival and help them continue serving the vulnerable population?
I think public-private partnerships are always going to be the way to go in that scenario. So it's finding ways to maximize the benefits and the strengths of each group. So, for instance, is the city going to be the best promoter or implementer of homeless strategies? Probably not. But if we link arms with someone like Metropolitan Ministries, or we link arms with Habitat for Humanity, who knows how to build homes and also to train people up in how to, budget and maintain homes. So finding, the best of the best and continuing to work with them, I think that's the best way we can work. So I know there have been some proposals, especially maybe over on the county side, to get rid of, public-private partnerships, or to get rid of working with nonprofits. And I'm not for that. I really think that there are nonprofits who are, the best of the best that are working here in Tampa. And our job is to find how to support them, because they're going to do a better job than government when it comes to providing some of these important services, especially in the social sector. My thing is that government's really good at doing a few things, but not all the things.
Allison?
And as a nonprofit consultant in my day job that I use to keep the lights on, one of the things I have been talking to, especially to the nonprofit clients that I have, is not a nonprofit does not mean no profit. What it means to the IRS is that your board of directors cannot be paid for the nonprofit. And I stress to my nonprofits that this is a business, not a charity. You did not create a charity, you created a nonprofit. That just meant that your business plan is based on a mission, a public mission. And so you should create that business plan. You should make sure you create your operational documents that allows you to do some form of economic development activities. Like, for example, I have someone who has provides assistance to battered women. well, what I added to their organizational documents is that they would be allowed to potentially open a franchise.
Right.
Because one of the reasons why that a lot of folks are stuck in domestic violence situations is their access to capital, their own personal. So if we are able to help them be able to get a job and make money and be financially independent, they may be able to get out of that service. So I am encouraging all the nonprofits to do a deep dive in their organizational documents and to be able to make sure that they are able to, basically use what their mission is to be able to have income. Now, how that impacts District 5 and how the city can help is exactly what Audette says. Then when it comes to providing issues related to homeless, then they could potentially become a CHODO, Community Housing Development Organization. Churches can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's churches and nonprofits, they can provide that housing because their service, their public purpose would be to provide that service. But that does not mean that you don't have to make money doing that. You can make money to be able to provide the service and keep your doors open. So I am encouraging those nonprofits to work on a business plan.
Just want to add on, because I'm also a consultant when it comes to nonprofit. And this term right here, and we both are familiar with it, it's called earned income. And you need to earn income because the bottom line is what we learned from this current crisis is that if you only depend upon grants, you're going to close up.
You're done.
If you don't have a business plan that talks about earned income, you're going to be in trouble. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Did you want to respond to that question?
From the state side, so I would see so many nonprofits come to the state asking for funding, but they didn't have any other funding for these projects. And I'm like, you can't presume that the state is going to be able to fund this forever and ever. You've got to have a sustainability plan. Otherwise, it's just a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a pilot idea, which is fine. But you can't keep expecting that the state or local government is going to be able to continuously fund it. You've got to find ways to draw straight from your people.
This is a reminder.
Exactly. So let me bring up something because it's going to go to my next question.
This is a reminder. Take vitamin C.
Oh, why didn't it come up? Hold on, folks. Let me work behind this. Yeah. Let me see if it's going to come up because this thing is going crazy. Hold on, folks. Hey, does everybody see what I see?
Yes.
So we talked.
West Tampa Technology and Wealth Building Job Creation Center.
Yeah, because we talked about nonprofits have to move towards earned income model. This model that you're looking at is called the West Tampa Wealth Building and Job Creation Center. All of the entities that's part of this program are all going to be earned income. They could be bringing money back into the community. This particular program that we're doing in West Tampa is going to create 30 plus resident-owned businesses, 80 AI jobs, and then investment education. And when I say investment education, especially as African Americans, we tend to be consumers. We don't understand that what investment means. That means that either money is working for you or you working for money. That being said, we're also going to use Web3 technology, blockchain, and we're going to teach this to little kids, 9 and up, to start their own businesses. We're going to be moving folks from consumers to investors. Well, let me tell you what's unique about this program. 85% is going to be ran by artificial intelligence, meaning that our personnel is low, but our service is going to be widespread. This particular project is going to be $290,000. If we had personnel in the mix, it would be $650,000. I want the two of you to consider this because we're going to be bringing this to the city council. Hopefully, either one of you will be in office to fund this program so we can take it to the next level. We'll be able to get that gun out that guy's hand by teaching him how to do game application, teaching him how to do mobile application, all those things like that. So I'm bringing this up only to say that an income approach to rebuilding your community is an approach that's needed. Okay, and I do and asking for each of your supports in that. So let's go back. I have to jump that in. Okay, let's get back to the questions then. Okay. Given the scale of public cuts, how would you stress limited resources as a city council person to meet the growing needs of the community?
Well, as I have been watching the budget and active in the CRAs, my challenge is not the cutting of the resources. My challenge is you have resources that you're not expending correctly. So people feel the pinch when you don't complete the project that you already have funds for. And so until we get a hold of those monies that are already allocated, already in the budget, to be able to provide affordable housing, to be able to help businesses, to be able to deal with draining, I don't really aspire to that we're in this bad spot because we have millions that we're not spending correctly. We have millions that are not being accounted for. We have millions that are not going into a plan. I spoke at City Council last week. The CRAs have the community redevelopment plan that outlines how it should be developed. But in East Tampa, they're letting development happen to East Tampa. They're not driving the development. And so they have the resources, but they are not seeding the development in places that will just grow and bloom. Where you can see the example for that is Channelside. Channelside had a plan. You see this one and the next one and the next one and the next one. They followed their plan. You can see the benefits of following a plan. If you look at Channelside, over the last 20 years, it's had a CRA. It's had a CRA the same amount of time as East Tampa. But they followed their plan. We did not. We do not, and we still don't. So I would first argue that we are not as lean of cuts or as much as we are not spending the money we have allocated in the way that already has been assigned.
Okay, just before I go to the question for you, Allison, you go down to the city hall meetings all the time. And I see people from East Tampa always pleading with city council. Why isn't the city council addressing the issues of East Tampa? And it seems like they come down all the time. And it seems like it's a recording, like a scratch record. Why is it, and what would you do, even though this is West Tampa, what would you do in East Tampa to make sure they have a voice as well?
Well, one of the things is there are motions that have been made and approved. I would make sure I get that list to get a report on why isn't that moving and where is it stuck in the process and how do I unstuck it? I don't know, that's not a word. The second thing is that the primary activity in East Tampa is through the CRA. One of the things that I said was one of my major concerns is, especially for affordable housing, the city has advocated its responsibility for affordable housing to the CRA. Very limited money in the city budget, but 30% of the CRA budget is for affordable housing. Okay, I get that, but that doesn't mean the city doesn't do what it's supposed to do with its money. So what I would make sure is, one, find out what the pending motion is, find out what it unstuck. And what's most important to me right now is the CRA has an operational agreement with the city of Tampa. And it is the most permissive agreement that I've ever seen. It says that the city may assist. The city may provide. It doesn't say you shall. It doesn't. I mean, word choices are important in legal documents. That's a legal contract that basically says that the city will get to the CRA projects when they want to, and nothing we can do about it because it's signed, sealed, delivered. They do not have to respond. They can respond when it's on their time because it said may assist, may provide, not shall.
Question to you.
I would like to go back and revisit that. And if they being the CRA, pay the city $5.2 million to manage it. If I'm paying you $5.2 million, I don't want you to respond. I need you to respond. It shouldn't take, as I said, the pre-development program was passed in 2018. It's 2025. They have not implemented it yet.
Okay.
No, we got to look at it some more.
Okay.
We got to write the applications. We can't let them get away with slow walking when the CRA only has 8.5 years before it goes away in East Tampa. We need some urgency. We need someone on that dais that's going to maintain that urgency and make sure they don't forget.
Okay. Now,
because I will also say that the other council members lean on the District 5 representative, and the District 5 representative doesn't make it an issue and relies on staff to tell them, what we need to do, and relies on staff. But again, I have no problem with the staff. But when you have a agreement that says that they don't have to respond, it's not their fault. If you got a legal document that say I got to respond to the people who pay my check,
okay.
Now understand, it's the CRA money.
Okay.
The money goes to the city. The city pays them.
Okay. That being said, the question goes to you. First, the question goes to, because less money is coming into from the federal government. How do you operate? And then the second question is, East Tampa has been pleading with the city council just to give it its right to act as a community. Those two questions, how would you address?
I think the first one, it goes back to what we were talking about, earned income, that we can't rely, as the city of Tampa, we can't rely on federal funds because they're not reliable. So if we're not creating enough revenue through sales tax, property tax, then we need to look at reducing our budget. It's like basic budgeting in certain ways. But to Allison's point, we have a very thick, hefty budget right now. And if that money isn't being spent correctly, then we've got a bigger problem, right? If we've got leaks, then we need to fix the leaks. And I am concerned about the slow rolling of decisions from city council down through and how they affect the neighborhoods, because it's not enough to make the decision, but even it's more important to make sure that they're followed through. And I think that's the role that you're electing one of us to play here, is to make sure that there's follow through, to hold feet to the fire, to make sure that the decisions that have been made, maybe multiple times even,
exactly, amen,
that there's real follow through, because otherwise, what's the point? We're just wasting our breath up there making decisions that have no impact. That seems like it's not what anybody's waiting for.
Okay, this next question might be a touchy question. Do you support reparations for Black African Americans? And if so, what form should it take, locally or nationally? Or should we not have it at all? Anybody can jump into that question.
I think if you do reparations, you have given folks an excuse to not do what they need to do to change the systematic problems that are causing those issues. I think that the committee, the 568 committee, need to be empowered to do the research they should do to be able to find the issues that resulted in the years and years of bad behavior and mismanagement and misuse of especially the African American community. I think reparations could be a one-shot deal if you do that, and I don't think it should be. I think that it should be a look at all the areas in which the harm took place, and there should be policies put in place to reverse those. And then there should be funds that or priorities or policies put in place to be able to create generational wealth in the areas in which they did wrong by the community. I think that if being in politics as long as I have, that there's some folks who say, well, you have your reparations and we have now no need to change, or we need to change the system to make sure that there's fair and equitable distribution of opportunities of wealth on how they apply the policy. We need to find out, for example, code enforcement historically has been used to push people out of their property. So we need to make sure that all those areas that historically took our land away from us, took our opportunities away from Black people, you need to change it. I think reparations can be a part of the story, but unless you have the story, unless you have the data of the areas that need to be able to be fixed, there are people who would say, okay, you got your, it might be 40 acres and a mule. Okay, we got your mule. You will never get your 40 acres.
Okay.
So that reparation could be a tool. And so I believe there needs to be a conversation and a plan and a structure put in place. Reparation may be a portion of it, but it is not the end all be all to be able to address the historical damage that has been done.
Okay. Question goes to you.
Okay. When we're talking about the resolution 568 and how it's played out, the actual structure of the committee, the reconciliation committee, the things that they're meant to do is to look at returning citizens, addressing ignored history, addressing affordable housing, youth, economic development, the 5 pillars. I believe that is where we need to continue to keep our focus, because those are going to create wealth. Those are going to create opportunities for the entire community that we've got here. And so if I were to use reparations money, I would invest it in those ways rather than giving it into individual households. I don't know about you, but when I saw the stimulus money coming through, I didn't see that benefiting the entire community. I saw actually what happened was inflation went up as a result of all of that stimulus money being printed. So I'm concerned about that because we are already in an inflationary crisis. So I would want to see, if we're talking about more money coming into the community, I would want to see it going to processes and programs that are going to create real wealth for our citizens.
Okay, thank you. I have 2 more questions, but I just thought of another question before I go to those 2 questions. What happens when the CRA goes? How do we operate without a CRA? And we know it's going to go away, 9 years, 10 years, whatever the case it is, it's going to go away. So as a city council person, how would you address that loss of the CRA, and what would you replace it with?
It's interesting because, as what Allison was saying, was that that's sort of the main tool, especially in East Tampa, is seeing the CRA as the main tool of government that's working for East Tampa, presumably, right? Presumably. But why is that the only tool that we have in our districts? If the majority of District 5 has 7, right? Am I getting that right? 7 different CRAs represented here. Why is that our main tool? They're not long-term solutions. And I think when we're talking about the taxing, because what it's meant to do, right, is to pull as the community increases, the extra taxes going into this pot that is meant to go back into that community. I love that idea that we're continually reinvesting in our communities, but I'd really like to see the accounting. Is that really happening? Are we really seeing the funds that are going back into those communities in more ways than a developer's pocket?
Okay.
Right? We hear about the giant sums being doled out to the developers, and as Allison pointed out, and that's the extent of the community benefit that we're getting is quote unquote affordable housing. I just don't know that that's really for the best benefit. So I agree with you that there needs to be a better mechanism that is employed to increase and improve the voices of these different communities, but I don't know yet, honestly. It's worth investigating. I just haven't done that yet. But I did want to say, I'm so sorry.
It's nothing like an honest politician. And you was honest. Yeah. That's important.
But I will have to jump off in just a few minutes, so I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay. Well, we're down to the last question after Allison respond to that question, the CRA.
Okay, thank you. I think when you have the mandate that the taxes from that area, from the CRA, go to development in that area, and they don't do it then, I think that we will be hard pressed to when they don't have to do anything there, that they will. I feel that if right now, if the statute says that money needs to stay in that area to help that area, and you have just said with just whoever comes in can get the money to develop, you have not done anything to further the plan. I mean, I have, I don't know if I have it with me here. Yes. So this is yes, I traveled in my purse with the annual report for the CRA. This is Tampa CRA 2024 annual report. And one of the biggest disappointments, and I was so disappointed that the city council did not at least react to it, but there's a section in here called quality of life, in which they report on how that impacted the community and the project that had the highest quality of life. Quality of life. Do you see what the quality of life was for East Tampa? A $500,000 fence around the graveyard. $500,000 quality of life. You see, I know it's probably backwards, but it says quality of life.
No, it's clear.
Yeah.
But it's $500,000 of fence around the graveyard. That is what they are reporting around the state as their success for East Tampa. Not the people, not helping the business. I mean, they have the grant programs in here, but the quality of life report for East Tampa is a $500,000 fence around the graveyard.
Okay, let's go.
So if we lose the CRA, do you understand that if that's what they do with the money now, and they don't have to do anything with the money afterwards, we're going to be really not better off. But what I will do, if elected, is one of the things I learned with the governor's Jeb Bush Front Porch Florida initiative, that if I had created a local entity, a legal entity that was ordained to be able to do what the partnership and what the CAC is supposed to do, we have 8 years. We can create and stand up an organization to be able to do that for East Tampa.
Okay, let's go to the final question, folks. This has been... Oh, she has to go.
Sorry. Gotta go. I'll see you guys.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you tapping in.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Right,
Thanks again.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Folks, let's go to the final question. As an elected official, how would you stay connected to residents after business hours and remain access to the community?
Well, again, keep going back to my time with the state, but I would do District 5 in the district once a month to be able to put out, sit out in the district to have office hours in a business or a restaurant somewhere in the different areas. 2, I will host, they will get sick of me with workshops and say, these are the opportunities coming. Businesses, this is about to be a construction project. I'm calling the folks, I'm calling a meeting to make sure y'all know that these are opportunities coming. The shelter markets, the $300,000 for shelter markets. I will be having workshops about shelter markets. Businesses, are you registered with the city? Do you know that these opportunities are there? I will make sure that the businesses know that the sheltered markets meet once a month. Have you been to those meetings so they can see you and know? I need to bring the opportunities to the people as often as possible. I need to make sure that I have a database that I'm sending out when these opportunities are coming. When you have issues, when they, just like they do over in South Tampa, when you're about to build something or drain something or there's flooding problems, we need to get together. I need to call the neighborhood associations and say, do y'all know this is coming? Do you know they're building there? I mean, I want to flood them with every bit of information that I get. District 5 community should know.
People are going to the polls right now. Right now, as we speak. Here's your opportunity to address them. They're sitting down, they're drinking coffee and everything at home. They haven't voted yet. They are going to vote. Why should they vote for you?
They should vote for me because I care about District 5. And I have the tools to be able to fight for District 5, to make sure that the opportunities are available to business owners, to homeowners, to seniors, to youth in District 5. I have been in government since I was 16 years old. By a way to be able to reading statutes, to be able to read policies, to be able to present policies, to be able to recognize when policies should be changed and amended for the better of the people, of especially the businesses or the grant owners. You should vote for me because I have the experience ready to day one to be able to move things forward. And if I can't move things forward, to be able to let you know why it's not and why I need you to show up in droves to talk to City Council about why things aren't moving forward. I care about people and I care about my community.
Okay, Janice, you've been quiet. Any questions that you have? By the way, Janice Williams is my ride or die. She's been with West Tampa all the time.
Janice.
Through good and bad. This lady right here, she's a true soldier. If I got one person on my Zoom, she'll be that one person. She'll stand strong. Janice, that being said, do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mike. Actually, I had a few questions, and the first question is, as you take this journey, to become our next, what have you learned about yourself?
Good question.
Since you started this journey?
I don't often like to talk about myself. I love to talk about the policy. I love to talk about how to get things done, but the whole why and me, and I am not a me person. And I don't do what I do for my community to be on the stage. And so I've had to get used to that portion of it. My team says that I'm kind of boring because I have all these facts that I say and I'm not engaging and just like I don't throw anecdotes out and I have had to come to really realize about me that that's not me. I'm a policy wonk. I can talk to you about policy until blue in the face, but when you need to talk about me, not so much. I'm not really good at that, but I'm getting better. But I do like to talk about solutions and having these issues and how can we fix it together.
Okay. And since you started on this journey, after interacting with voters and people in the community, has your opinion on a certain topic or issue changed? Have you evolved in any way when it comes to maybe looking at an issue in a way that you never had before?
Mm-hmm. There's two issues that have not been on my radar, and I am appalled that it wasn't. One is public safety. As we are seeing the explosive growth in the East Tampa and all the channel side growth, we've not added or made plans to add any new fire stations. And seeing a couple of presentations during the comp plan on response times and the responsibility of the response, I don't think I've ever really paid attention to it. And I felt absolutely horrible because the fire is a part of my personal history. Fire station 15 on 34th Street. So that has been, that's now something I'm really studying to see. And the second thing is I was not aware of how impactful the arts is in District 5, between the West Tampa, between Ybor and downtown. We have a significant and a vibrant arts community. And as I've been going to these events, everyone has a vision of how they view the world. And we had all these artists in a room, and they were looking at each other through their mediums. You metalwork, you paint, you sculpt. I looked at a room full of entrepreneurs. I saw people who were trying to, again, monetize their passions and be able to, and so I created a spreadsheet for them of how the CRAs where they are located in could provide business assistance for them to be able to grow their businesses, which is art, and then be able to add to the culture and the impact to the areas that they are. So, and I have been woefully uninformed about the vibrant art community that we have in District 5 in Tampa itself with the Arts Council. So, and then as Michelle Smith, an incredibly talented African American woman in charge of the Arts Council too, I just didn't have any clue until I started this adventure that was there, and now I'm really enjoying getting to know the impact to the city of Tampa.
Okay. And as you know, there are a lot of historic monuments, buildings in West Tampa. So tell me about what historic preservation means to you, firstly. And secondly, West Tampa, as you know, is undergoing gentrification, redevelopment, whatever you want to call it. But what I see are more houses that don't look like they would fit into the definition of a national historic district. And my fear is that eventually that designation will be lost. And it's a loss not just for West Tampa,
Fix my dentures.
but for Tampa.
Just let me know if
Tampa
this is
itself,
done.
yes.
I'm here. So tell me
This
what
is a
that
reminder.
means to you.
Fix my dentures.
It
Just
means
let me
to
know if
me
this is
that
done.
the business development department in the city does not enforce the overlay district. I mean, they are extremely strict in Seminole Heights. There's not too much you can do unless it looks like the house to the right, your left, or in front of you. But East Tampa worked for years, about 2.5 years, to create an overlay district because I was feeling the exact same way in East Tampa. You had the older bungalow, then modern, then ultra modern, and that didn't fit to me. And but the building department, as I've talked to developers, they, if you don't know about it, they don't tell you about it. It's a requirement. Why aren't they doing it? Or if you're the developer, the builder, and you ask about it because they have some parking requirements that are more flexible because in the overlay district where the community created, they wanted more on-street parking at the angle to create more walkable communities. Those developers were also told, well, if you do that, it's going to add, several months to your process. Well, building and development, several months is money. And if we've got to wait several months because I want to use the overlay district, it might put the project out of budget. So we've got to look internally to make sure. We've got to, if I am there and they're coming for the land use and they're trying to get approvals, I've got to call the neighborhood association in West Tampa. Do y'all see this? Do y'all see what they're proposing? Because again, my job, your job is to respond. Your job is not to monitor. I do it every Sunday. But that's because I like to read the agenda that we prepare for Thursday. But it will be my job as that person in that seat to make sure that you know. And not only that you know, but you know the impact. I should be able to send out information to say they want to build X, Y, Z. Here's the link. Go look on it. Please share with me your opinion. Send me an email so I can at least read it or put it in the record or come and show up. Because unless we work together, unless this seat works with you in the community to protect our history, the staff is not going to, whether they have the documents in place or not. This is going to be our responsibility to fight and preserve.
Okay. And the last question is, as you know, the position you're applying for is very important. It's an enviable position. You're going to be interacting with people, developers, neighborhoods, residents, local government. How strong are you? How strong will you be? I sense you are strong, but I just need to know for the record, how strong are you going to be in trying to hold on to, well, in essence, fighting for and representing residents while understanding we do need development?
Yes.
How are you going to deal with that? Because as you know, people are going to be smiling in your face, wanting you to vote for them, vote for whatever project they have, even if it may not necessarily be in the best interest of the neighborhood. So tell me about that.
It's going to be about the people for me. It will be, I will always try to find a happy medium. I do believe in negotiation, and that we will try to find something that's a middle ground. But if we can't, it will always be the default of the people. And so, if I had an example about how Allison fights, so I sat on the Heart Board for about 8 years, and during that time, we went through 5 general managers. Well, one of them was not treating the employees correctly and had some challenges with their contract. And so I forget the year it is, but I will send it there. But there is documentation that as chair of that board, because I had to fight for the employees and I had to fight for what's right in the contract, we led the charge to dismiss a sitting CEO of Heart, just because the internal environment was not good for the people who worked there. People felt under attack, under target, and I, as chair, had to listen to HR. I had to listen to the drivers. I had to listen to try to talk to the CEO, but figured out there was not going to be a middle ground. So I had to do what's right for the organization, and the organization is people. The drivers are the ones that's on the front line with the people who ride the bus. So if they're not happy and they're under attack, then the people who ride the bus are not going to want to ride the bus because that person. So it just became a revolving cycle. But I have fought for what's right, and I will continue to, and I will be very transparent on what I believe is what's right. And so if I say I think it's this way, and you call me from West Tampa and say, ma'am, that is not what we need here in West Tampa, I say, well, let's have some coffee. So, I will tell you why I got to the point. But where I am in East Tampa, it may be a whole different feel where you are, and I need to sit down and talk to you. But I'm going to tell you first, this is how I got here. And then you can poke holes, and this is how you're wrong. And I will tell you at the end of the thing, I think you're right, and this is how I'm going to adjust. Because I don't know everything. I know East Tampa because I'm third generation. You know West Tampa. I should be able to trust your judgment to be able to create what my vision is like in my battle. So I will not create any battle that is just unilaterally created by me, Allison, because I'm good at a lot of things, but not everything. So that's how I would come to be able to fight the battles that you feel are important.
Alan, is there anything you want to add to the discussion?
No, not particularly. I just wanted to say thank you, Ms. Hewitt, for your time, of course.
Thank you.
Good luck in a busy season. I'm sure there's a lot going on in your world, so I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for participating and giving me this opportunity to answer questions.
This has been deep. Deep, deep, deep. I'm talking about questions that goes to the bread and butter issue. I understand a lot of people talk about infrastructure, but what I wanted to center around was economic and community development. So that being said, I can't believe it. Oh, it's 6:09. We went way past our time. But thank you so much for addressing those questions and staying here to address those questions. The other person, she had to leave, but at least she showed up. So, folks, this is going to be probably one of the most important elections in a long, long time. Get out there and vote. I don't care who you vote for, but get out there and vote. But I hope tonight has given you a perspective on at least two candidates that are running for office. So before I roll out, I want to thank everybody for taking part in the nice presentation. For those that couldn't get in because of technical difficulty, I apologize. But for those that did get in, they took the show anyway. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.